What's up, my fellow tokers, smokers, and jokers? It's your boy, Chef Rodney, 117 here with Deliciously Dope TV, bringing you yet another Deliciously Dope's Daily Chronicles. Today is a very, very somber day in the United States of America, okay? We had some really shitty stuff happen at the Capitol. That's suffice to say that, you know, everything that we've done with the founding fathers and everything, you know, it's just terrible. But our next guest is the perfect person to have on. The perfect person to show you what American soldiers and American people should be. Now, imagine investing your life into something only to be told that the very same thing that you invested your life into doesn't give a shit about you or your well-being. That's exactly what happened to our next guest. Sadly, there are millions of people that this has happened to. Chances are that you and I both know someone personally that served in the military and had to suffer some kind of mental, physical, or even worse, homelessness issues. Okay, it's not even funny to me. That ain't right. That ain't right at all. Okay, these people laid their lives down on the line for us, and the best that our government can do is have them hooked on pills. Now, listen, I may not have served in the armed forces, but I have had family members and friends that have. I've asked them about their time serving, and every single time, unanimously, hands down, they say they wouldn't have changed it for anything in the world. It was the best thing that happened to them. To me, that shows admiration, dedication, and strength. Something that many people don't know, you know, how to actually like obtain these days. Many people don't know, you know, what's going on. And that's the biggest problem. You know what I'm saying? Now, it doesn't make it okay for the government to shove pills down their throat like that. Absolutely not. It's not okay. Because every time these people go to the government and go, yo, I need help. I got these mental issues. This and any other. The government's nowhere to be found. The VA, a lot of people think it's a joke, especially the veterans. Now, allow me to show you what a real veteran looks like today. Our guest of honor, absolute honor, is a disabled veteran of the Cold War and Desert Storm, y'all. Now, after being homeless in 94 and 95 in Pittsburgh, he got his MMJ card in 2018. Years, y'all, after his service, okay? Then he decided to become a cannabis educator as well as a veterans cannabis advocate. I don't know, that's that right there. Huge, y'all. That's huge. Giving back to the people that he's, you know, his brothers in arms, if you will. So he started Asher's Finest Rosin brand to help promote and aid his outreach methods and efforts, y'all. Okay, this allowed him to give the first ever legal public class on solventless rosin extract in Pennsylvania history. So now our guy attends public events at major venues as a cannabis educator, y'all. Huge, right there, huge. Now, he spoke about cannabis legalization at the Pennsylvania House in 2019. He didn't storm it, though. Now, being a prime example of how cannabis can heal someone, our guy here today has dedicated his life and his entire self to working with Operation 1620 and balanced veterans, as well as working with other veteran MMJ patients to get veterans access to medical cannabis and MMJ cards. I can't, dude, that is amazing. That is beyond amazing. That is admirable as hell, y'all. After doing all that, you think our boy would be done. No, he just started. His future plans, all the proceeds from his legal sales of all of his rosin through all the legal states to build a high density permanent housing for all of the homeless across the United States. I'm going to repeat that, across the United States, y'all. That is a huge feat. One I hope to help with here soon. So next time you see a veteran, make sure you shake the damn hand. All right. You say thank you for your service and your sacrifice and your dedication. Hell, give them a joint or maybe, you know, a little toke of some rosin or something, whatever they want, man, whatever they want. They earned it. You don't know what they had to go through mentally, physically, and just, you know, in everyday life and stress just for your freedoms, dog. Y'all ain't know that. Now, without any other, you know, further rambling on my part, here's Mr. Erik from Mother's Infusions, y'all.
What's up, everybody?
Man, Erik, I'm excited today. There's another Erik on the show. This guy, You know what? Without any other further ado, y'all, I can't. Mr. Erik Asher, how you doing, Erik?
Good morning. Happy New Year, guys.
It's gonna get twisted today, guys, because there's two Eriks. It's me a little confusing.
Yeah, thank you for everything that you've done, Erik. You are definitely what we need more of in this world, is people, fighting for the cause and sticking up for people and putting, your hard-earned profits towards helping others.
100%.
A lot of people don't see that homeless community and how much help they really need in so many different ways. So thank you, Erik.
Appreciate that. I'm not where I want to be with this. It's still more of a concept than an actual getting out there and doing it, because we don't have full legalization in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
All we have is medical. So in my current role, I'm an educator and an advocate. And I travel all over Pennsylvania, and I teach people how to make better medicine. I work with cannabis doctors to get veterans certified. I'm working with Caleb Masoner at Operation 1620 out of Illinois, and Ron Millward from Balanced Veterans of Pennsylvania. And through them, they have a way to get veterans their medical certification card free. I just got my research done. Okay.
Hell yeah.
So I'm working with those guys and a bunch of other great people. My buddy Matt Ringley out of York, PA, he makes some of the best medibles ever had in your life.
Mm-hmm.
But I just, for a moment, if you'll allow me, I'd like to talk about what transpired at the Capitol last night and give you my opinion about it from the perspective of a veteran. Okay.
Please do. Please do.
The person who got killed by security forces was a veteran. Okay. That's been established. However, protesting is our right. That's true. But the minute you cross a barrier onto federal property,
Mm-hmm.
it's a felony.
100%.
Furthermore, I don't care what side of this political spectrum you're on. You break into the Capitol building during session while business is being done and break into the main floor, you should have been shot. They should have killed every single person that broke into that chamber, because you don't do that in this country. They should have been made an example of, so that nobody else ever gets it in their head that they're going to be able to successfully charge the Capitol building and make anything happen. That is not how this country works.
100%.
That's not what I fought for. And I think that the failure, if you're looking at a failure of what happened last night, it lies completely with the security forces in charge of securing that building.
Yep.
They did not act. They were authorized to use deadly force. Whenever somebody tries to get in that chamber, if it's in session, that is a secure location.
100%. Now,
the failure of the security forces to handle that situation with enough aggressiveness,
mm-hmm.
decisiveness, caused that situation to get out of control, and it weakened I think it weakened our democracy to allow that to have occurred.
Oh, massive blow. You know, I want to add to that, if you don't mind, Mr. Asher.
Sure.
I know I go out on a limb saying this, but everybody that knows me and watches the show knows that, I don't stand for racism. I don't stand for anything. I stand for truth and justice, and as much as I can. And I will say this. Yep, Ringley, he absolutely agrees. Had those people been a different color, there'd have been a lot more bullets flying.
Well, I have to say, unfortunately, that's probably true.
Yeah.
Okay. But the fact of the matter is, I don't care what color your skin is or what political affiliation you have.
No matter who you are.
If you attempt to break into a federal building with force, with bad intentions, you need to get shot. Sorry. That's just my opinion. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's a lot of other people that think that would have been the wrong way to handle it, but I think it would have sent a very strong message
100%.
to anybody who's ever thinking about doing it anywhere else.
Don't do it. You're going to have a bad time.
Federal facilities.
Yeah.
You can protest. You can have signs. You can have bullhorns, and you can do everything within the realm of law.
Yep.
To make your voices heard. But the minute you break into a building and gain entry forcefully into the House of Congress,
you done fucked up.
Mm-hmm. That's it. That again, like I said, I have a very unique perspective on this. I used to be law enforcement down in Florida. I was I was a state correctional officer in Florida from 05 to 07, and I was a Gulf County auxiliary deputy during that.
Oh no.
So I've been on both sides of a badge, and I know that the security forces in charge of that building should have handled it much more aggressively.
Now, I would like to add a little bit more to that, and then we can move on, because I got a bunch of questions for you, man, if you don't mind. But we do need to talk about this 100%. I've got friends who are Trump supporters, hear me out, okay, that disagree with what happened yesterday. You understand? Yep. They're like, they're like, absolutely not. These friends and I agree because of that, not because of that, what happened. We agree because they're like, yo, this is why, they feel wronged. You understand? They feel like everything happened, it just absolutely, it's just like Matt just said, do stupid shit, win stupid prizes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's where we're going to leave that, honestly. No one really needs to go too political with this, but I can tell you what happened yesterday, at the Capitol it's an embarrassment for the rest of the world. That's not what Americans are. That's not what democracy is. It doesn't matter what side of the political fence you want to sit on. At the end of the day, we're all Americans, and Americans don't fucking do that, period.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think there should have at least been a lot more arrests made.
100%.
If we're not going to
the arrests are coming because
riot control, there should have been a lot more arrests.
Themselves. They're all going to be arrested. In the next week, you're going to see a bunch of arrests. Because we're stupid enough to sit there at Pelosi's desk and take a fucking selfie. I mean, really?
No. So a lot of people, to add on to that, and then we'll move on to a couple of questions I have. A lot of people said that these post pictures that you're seeing were they were paid for, or they were staged, and this and that and the other. There's conspiracy theories out there. Fact of the matter is, okay, conspiracy theory or not, that shit should have never happened.
Right.
Okay. And a certain someone who is the color orange probably shouldn't have, enticed people to do that, regardless of what he said or how it was phrased or whatever have you. Let's go back a few years ago when he said anybody should be shot or a minimum 10 years in jail. Well, guess what? Now our tax dollars are going to be paying for a lot of people to go to jail. Fact.
We shall see.
Oh, yeah. Now, I got a question for you. So all your proceeds from your rosin in legal states are going to homelessness, correct?
I haven't started selling anything yet. Again, like I said, because it's not legal in the state where I reside.
Yep.
What I do, besides going and demonstrating the process and educating people about it, is I have a studio here that I process for patients for free. That's how I am currently building not only my rosin database, which is significantly large, but I'm also giving these patients better medicine than and helping them go farther for every dollar they have to spend at the dispensary. That's what this is about for me. Now, the ideas of taking the proceeds, that'll be when federal legalization happens, right? And I'm going to be working with certain growers to grow strains I want to make into rosin.
Oh, yeah.
The proceeds, once I'm able to sell that, are going to go to building high-density homeless veteran housing, a permanent housing. See, here's the thing. I started off wanting to do tiny house communities.
Yep.
But I started, as I got into the research further, I'm finding that there's a lot of resistance from neighborhoods where you want to put these things. They don't want them in their backyard.
Right.
So rather than go through the kind of battles that we have to, like here in PA, I want to do and take something that's already there. Because of COVID, it's left us with an opportunity. There's a lot of empty motels and hotels all over the country that are just unoccupied. They're in perfect condition, but they're just not in business. Why can't we interface with a nonprofit that has the resources to acquire these properties? It would take a lot less money to rehab a hotel, put a kitchenette in each one of the rooms, and turn them into studio apartments. They already have the infrastructure in place, and they're not in somebody's backyard. Motels are all along highways, in commercial areas where you won't have the kind of battle that you're going to have trying to put in someone's backyard. So over time, I've evolved my idea of how to end veteran homelessness, but instead of trying to build it from scratch, buy the property, and then have to do all the infrastructure, why not take an existing building, remodel it for the use you're trying to do, and then you have 100, 200 apartments ready to go.
Yeah.
For veterans, and all the common areas like the lobby and things like that. You can bring in veteran services officers to help these veterans get their disabilities, get resources that they need, and bring these people in and have them all in one place, so that you don't have to bring them all to the VA, which is a real hassle sometimes.
Oh yeah.
So that's sort of what my idea of the veterans homelessness thing is evolving into. I think it's going to be much more efficient. I think we can do it quicker this way. Won't have the battles with homeowners associations or concerned citizens. I think it's going to be a winner, but I can't make any of it happen on my own because I am a disabled veteran. I'm permanently and totally disabled. I can't monetize anything I do. I can't make even $1 above board, which is why you don't see me monetizing my YouTube channel or have a Patreon or any of that. I can't afford to lose my safety net because I'll be on the street again. And I'm not going to let that happen.
You can't. I can. I'll tell you what. Here's what we're going to do. Deliciously Dope TV and Five Finger Films is going to work with you, bud, however we can to get the word out and help you raise money with it. How's that? Let's do that.
That would be fantastic. But I don't need to raise money. I need to get an organization that already has the resources to make these things happen. Right? I have the idea and the plan and everything, but what I just don't have is resources.
And that's just it. So I'm not sure, if here at Deliciously Dope, anybody that really watches me knows I'm loud and obnoxious, so I can make it known. I got that microphone. I'll use that platform. Anything that I can do to help service the veterans of this company or, this government and help move forward with your company, I'm absolutely going to do. I'm so loud and obnoxious, I actually scared Erik's beard away. What happened?
Oh man, it's getting too long, man. It's time for a change.
No,
it comes and goes. This last time was just there for a long time.
You're
all right, man. I'm just kidding with you.
let me ask you something about Michigan. Okay, about when you guys were just medical before you got recreational. I heard it was a lot better system. You guys had co-op growers and they could retail to the dispensaries directly or wholesale to them directly or something, or provide for them. How did that work?
I can get you some accurate answers on that. Let me put you in touch with my buddy Ryan. Okay, he owns and runs Redemption Cannabis here in Michigan. He's been incarcerated for it, and my boy, Adam. I can definitely put you in touch with those guys. Those are two guys you should definitely talk to, because I'm willing to bet they're going to want to help you. I know for a fact that they're doing some big things with some organizations, and they'll definitely love to help you. I can't speak on their behalf, but I know this is something to be close to them for sure.
When you got medical, you lost your co-op growers, right?
Oh, 100%. That's
okay, that was very cool.
We never had co-op grows before.
A lot of guys who knew how to grow really good flower, and you put them out of business.
Yep, unfortunately. Now, Erik, what were you saying?
So even with the medical system before, you weren't allowed to combine numbers. So if I was a medical caregiver and I had 5 patients under me, I can only have 72 plants. Now, if me and Rodney say, hey, we'll combine ours and do 140 plants in it. No, they came and busted all those people.
Yep.
So you weren't allowed to, say, manage a bunch of grow rooms and have your hand in a bunch of different plants, or else they bust you. But the thing is it was left into the hands of the everyday growers, and it was a market. It was an open market to anybody to get into, pretty much. The difference now is there's high barriers to entry, and it's changed a little bit in regards to that, but we still have the medical side. So you still, anyone, even with a recreational, anybody can grow 12 plants, but you can also have caregivers under you and still grow 72 if you'd like.
Nice.
I got
here
12
in PA, we've got a crisis. Okay, we had a medical program that got signed into law in 2016. Okay, one of the biggest flaws, well, there's several of them, but one of the biggest ones is they did not allow home grow. Okay, there is no home grow here.
That's
so
like criminal, in my opinion.
they made the barriers to entry to become a grower processor so expensive that only corporate players can play here. And besides the fact you can't even smoke flower in Pennsylvania, which is another ridiculous regulation they have. I saw with my horror what happened in New Jersey when they went full legal and disallowed home grow. As far as I'm concerned, people, if a cop can come into your house and arrest you for growing a plant that you have to go and buy legally from a dispensary, that's not legalization.
Totally.
Okay? And here's the biggest problem with Pennsylvania. We are a commonwealth. So our state constitution does not allow us the luxury of doing what almost every other state has done to get recreational. And that's a voter referendum that bypasses the state house. Okay, we don't have that ability here. All referendums have to come through the state house. So we have been fighting the Republican-controlled state house to get a bill on the governor's desk, who is more than willing to sign it, but they don't want to do it, so they're blocking it. Now, the Republicans here want legalization now, but they want to do it New Jersey style. They want no home grow. They don't want micro licensing. They don't want to help with any of the social equity that Senator Sharif Street put into his bill. And I'm telling you, we have a real serious problem because we cannot bypass our state house like you guys did and like most of the other states that got full legalization had to do. So I'm hoping that maybe we can find maybe NORML or Marijuana Policy Project or any of these big national organizations. They need to act on behalf of Pennsylvania citizens and file a class action lawsuit against the state to amend the Constitution to allow us to have binding referendums that are voter initiated.
So
that's the only way we're ever going to see accountability from our legislators in PA because of the way it's structured.
Quick question. So let's say federally marijuana goes, it's decriminalized and it's federally legal. Hang on. That leaves it up to the states, right? Okay. So let's say the state of Pennsylvania is doing the exact same thing. However, let's say you go to court for it and you're standing there. From what I understand from legalese and from color of law, they now have, you can challenge the jurisdiction to go to Supreme Court, federally. You see what I'm saying? You can challenge that. If you challenge it to go federally, now that's, you know what I'm saying? From what I'm understanding, if it goes to federal court and it's legally federally, there's nothing.
It's not yet. It's not yet. So until they actually sign a bill and deschedule it, it's all academic at this point. Federal level.
Yeah.
Okay. What I'm talking about is what's going on at the state. You guys in your state were able to acquire full legalization and home grow and all of these other things. You can't believe how frustrating it is. It's like sitting in a jail cell watching people doing exactly the same stuff
thing
you want to be doing legally. That's why I go to Detroit almost every month. I vote with my wallet because they accept my card here in Michigan. And quite honestly, if I didn't have family that was still, my parents are both still alive and in Pittsburgh, I'd have moved to Michigan probably a year ago because doing what I do here doesn't make me any money towards moving towards the goal of ending veteran homelessness. But I take this press and go to Michigan with it, I make some money. And I can really, really do some good if I can start making money. I just can't do it, unfortunately, where I happen to be sitting.
Well, if there's anything that we can do, you let us know.
And I think what you're talking about, like those are, I think, some of the biggest problems when we come into recreational and legalization in these states is the barrier to entry. That's what I'm seeing in a lot of the states, especially Republican states, where they want to control all the big business side of things. And big business is paying people off to pass these laws to where you have to have a lot of money backing to get into the industry, you know. So
most of the grower processors in PA are against homegrown. They've lobbied in other states where they reside also, and they've always lobbied against. They're scared to death of us being able to grow our own stuff.
yeah, that's just being cowardly, you know. Like there's enough room for everybody. There's enough room for the big business, you know. Some people like going to those type of dispensaries, and some people like going to the pop shops, you know. Some people still like to go to their guy that they know grows in their basement too, you know. So like there's room for everybody. Corporates can make money. They don't need to make all of the money, you know. Like it's ridiculous.
Even if they allowed unlimited home grow, right? Everybody can just grow what you want. The amount of people that actually are going to take the time to buy the equipment and learn about how to grow it properly and all the other things that go into growing a decent plant, I'd say less than 5% of patients or people in general are going to have the wherewithal, the money, or the room to do any of that crap.
Mm-hmm.
So the damage to the bottom line of the corporate players is negligible.
Yes,
That's a false argument from the word go. Okay,
So
they want to control the supply chain in Pennsylvania because that's how they've always done things. Look at our liquor. Our liquor is controlled through state stores. There are no private liquor stores in Pennsylvania. They did beer up until recently through beer distributors, or you had to buy it from a bar. It's this whole, Quaker religious, thing that has been the history of Pennsylvania that leaves them so kind of schizophrenic. Because if you go to the eastern side of PA, they have an awesome cannabis culture in Philly. Oh my God, they have cannabis lounges that are up and running successfully. They have an amazingly vibrant culture for cannabis. On this side of the state where I live in southwestern PA, not so much. I was one of the pioneers here. Okay, when it comes to solventless, I gave the first legal class in Pennsylvania in a public venue. I have been going places. I've done it at public libraries here in Pittsburgh area. I go to events that aren't necessarily strictly cannabis events, like at the Monroeville Convention Center. They have a wellness expo where there's a lot of different practitioners of different kinds of things. And that opens up a much wider audience to understanding that cannabis is a medicine, that it's not scary. I do demos where I'm pressing dispensary flower right there, and they draw huge crowds. They're fascinated by watching it happen up close and personally. Smell it, watch it drip, and you would not believe the amount of minds it has changed. People that I've come in contact with, them were not cannabis people, not on board with cannabis. Now they see it in a much different light. So I find, and here's the thing, all of this outreach that I do is all out of my own pocket. I have Operation 1620 gives me material. They buy my press bags for me, and they provide me with ethanol to make tinctures with. But other than that, I don't have any corporate sponsors or anybody who's handling things. When I go the other side of the state, that's all out of pocket for me. And that affects my ability to medicate for myself. But the outreach that I'm doing is more important to me because I know this is going to eventually be helping people to live better lives. Cannabis saved my life, okay? And it has saved the lives of a lot of guys I served with. Fortunately, a lot of the guys I served with aren't here anymore. They died from weird cancers and pancreatitis and brain tumors and all kinds of crazy shit because of the stuff we were exposed to in the Gulf War. But those of us who were mainly cannabis people, even in the Army, and believe me, smoked a lot of hash in Europe. I was stationed there. And I stayed with cannabis afterwards. I don't have any of the any of those diagnoses. I have lungs full of depleted uranium dust. That never goes away. But a lot of the stuff that has killed probably 20 of the guys I've served with over the last 30 years hasn't touched me. And hasn't touched any of the guys I used to party with when I was stationed over there.
Right.
Well, I can tell you, whatever's eating me up inside, cannabis keeps that at bay. You know, and people have to make better medicine is important.
Right. It's funny you should mention, cannabis healing, because my father served when I was younger. He went to Fort Bragg. He's airborne. He jumped in Panama. He was on a spec ops mission down in Panama, and obviously he was airborne. And they did a halo jump at night, and landed in a tree. And he didn't, misjudged. He was stuck in a tree, y'all. Like, there's only one way down. You cut that, and then you go. So, landing in the tree, he smacked his legs around and stuff like that. So he's already hurting, and he took his K-bar and cut his parachute and dropped and broke his knee. Then, being the really badass that he is, him and the foreman that was with him reset it, and he finished that mission.
Yeah.
The problem is, here it is, years later, that knee always giving him problem. You know what the VA does? Oh, take these pills. Oh, take this. Oh, there's nothing we can do. He gets better care from his regular insurance from his job than he does the VA. Honestly, he's like, you know what? Fuck the VA. Fuck them. All they're going to do is pump me full of pills. You know what I'm saying? And I actually I gave some of Erik's CBD rub to him just to see how he let's see if it works. So I sent it to him. He called me back probably about 12 hours after getting it, and he goes, Bubba, I'll tell you, my knee was swollen. It hurt, this, and that, and the other. He goes, I put that on there. It took the pain away, but it was still swollen. So I had to go to the emergency room, and he had it drained, and they were looking at it, and they were talking about gout in his foot and all of that stuff. He's getting up there. The doctor goes, what are you using on it? He goes, what do you mean? He goes, I can tell you're rubbing something on it. Like, it's kind of, what do you? He goes, I can smell it because it smells like peppermints. And he goes, Doc, I'll be honest with you, I'm rubbing weed on it. I'm rubbing cannabis, CBD on it. And the doctor goes, well, keep doing it if it works. That's my point. And so he's asked me a lot of questions, and he don't like to research much. So I gave it to my stepmom. I'm like, here, read this to him. You know what I mean? And it's blowing his mind. He absolutely loves it. So much so that he moved away to Kentucky, coming back to Michigan to be able to heal himself. You know what I mean? And it's insane to me how, like, something so harmless and healthy for you is still illegal. You know what I'm saying? It's literally, it's not even a joke. It's literally curing cancer, y'all. So why are we still having an issue with this? It's interesting because you can't look at a plant. You can't look at a plant or look at what you're smoking and go, this has that much THC in it. That's not how that works. You have to do testing. My question is this. How come when coronavirus hit, we can have a vaccine in less than a year, but we can't do the testing to figure out that weed's good for us?
Well, here's the thing, though. Cannabis has been in our pharmacopoeia from the time of our inception up until 1937.
Yep.
Okay. At that, up until that time, you could go to any pharmacist and get a tincture that was loaded with THC. Okay? You see the pictures of the old bottles and stuff from the apothecaries, right?
Right.
So, what put pot in a bad light was Anslinger, and it was completely motivated by racism.
Yep.
Okay, just like the drug war started by Richard Nixon in 72, that was completely motivated by hatred for blacks, hatred for hippies, and wanting to control their behavior. Okay, it was the one common thread among all those disparate groups that he could focus on, criminalize, and put these people in jail. Now,
100%.
what's keeping it from being legal today? The biggest advocates against legalization: prison system, your prison unions, your police unions, and the private prison companies. companies that are making a fortune locking up.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that not only that, but tobacco has come around. Okay, they see the writing on the wall. So I don't think we're hearing a lot of issues coming from Philip Morris and companies like that.
Nope.
But the alcohol industry is losing their fucking minds because their sales has gone down 35% in states where legal cannabis exists. Now, I don't know, but even the alcohol industry has to see that cannabis has a place, okay, and that they can even incorporate it. I would love to see THC whiskeys. I make a 200 proof tincture with ethanol, food grade ethanol.
Nice.
All my reclaim goes into that, and you can drink it.
Yeah.
It makes a hell of an eggnog.
Yeah.
But I'm not a drinker myself. Usually what I do is I just reduce the alcohol off and reclaim the oil.
Right.
And a buddy of mine, my buddy Matt, he has a extract craft machine. So
there you go.
I give him a gallon of tincture. He comes back with a bunch of oil for it.
I'd like to share my story with you because it goes along with everything that we're talking about. So, long story short, I've been a chef for 26 years now. I'm only 33 years old. My mom had a restaurant. I was literally raised by the kitchen. She sat us down and was like, hey, we can pay a babysitter to watch y'all, or you guys can work and earn your own money. And I was like, Pokemon cards, so you know where I went. And so I was like, I'm a big kid. Had I known that would have been years of slavery, I don't know if I would have done it. No, I'm kidding. But no. So being raised by the kitchen, all of that stuff, it's very similar to a military lifestyle because we still work in military time. There's a hierarchy. There's certain, you guys have, Alpha, Bravo, Delta, things like that, and Charlie and whatnot. And we still have kitchen code. So it's very similar. It's not the same, similar. The stress is insane. We're both overworked and underpaid, except for you guys get halfway decent VA medical benefits and we don't get any. So there's, give and take. Long story short, I used to drink because I thought it saved my problems. It was accessible. I was young. It worked. A couple shots and I didn't give a shit. That liquid courage. Yeah, I smoked weed too, but I didn't really know it was medicinal. I just knew that if you smoked a joint in the morning, it would take care of a hangover-ish. You know what I mean? You still wanted to drink. So years went on about this, and about 6 years ago, I finally set the bottle down. I was up to a fifth and a half a night at Jameson. Not only is that expensive, I should be dead many times. But for some reason, I'm here, and for some reason, my liver's okay. And so upon quitting, I still smoke cigarettes the whole nine. I went to the doctor. I'm like, yo, listen, doc, I absolutely need help. It's been about coming up on a month now. I'm getting the shakes still. Like, what's going on? And he talked about addiction and all this, blah 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 blah. I get it. And then he goes, oh, by the way, pills. They put me on Zoloft. They put me on Buspirine. They put me on all kinds of mood stabilizers. They put me on all kinds of painkillers. I was on Valium just to go to. None of this shit was working. I had. Dude, I kid you not. I had this little blue tote that had all my pills in it, and I was supposed to take one of them a day. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Then you would find out that this pill counteracts that pill. You're not supposed to take that one with that one. And it's just like, so I took that up there, and I threw it at him. I'm like, you take them. Eat all of them right now. You want to understand how angry I am? I'm trying to better my health and continue my life, and you're trying to kill me with pills. I was like, every single pill in there right now, in my mind, is attempted murder. It's not working. He goes, this doctor goes, I don't know what to fucking tell you then. Smoke a goddamn joint for all I give a shit. He's like, I'm done with you. And he left. Just straight up walked out. So I just left all my pills there and I left. I go home for about a week. I fought with that doctor in my head. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. This, just all kinds of, I didn't want to believe him. You know what I'm saying? I'm still mad at him. And, my roommate at the time smoked, no big deal. I didn't give a shit. I didn't care. He had a medical card, who gave a shit, right? And a couple times the cops knocked on the door. He flashed his card. It was Detroit. They didn't give a shit. They're like, well, we just wanted to make sure. They had nothing else better to do. It's like, there's 15 murders going on, but you're knocking on my door? Whatever. So, we had a bonfire one night, and I was out there. I remember I was drinking a Verner's because, Verner's. And I was trying to kind of calm down. I just got home from on shift. It was probably about 10 o'clock at night. I go, hey, let me get one of them joints. How much do I? He's like, no, dude. He's like, I'll smoke a joint with you. Here you go. Here's an extra one. He always had a bunch of pre-rolls. And I smoked that joint, and I could still remember that's some of the best goddamn sleep I've ever gotten. And that's when it started, man. You know, that's when it got to the point to where, like, I started noticing I was feeling better almost instantly, y'all. And so I was like, yo, can I just maybe give you money and you just keep buying me whatever sounds cool at this point? Because I didn't really understand strains and the cannabinoid system, none of that. I was just like, yo, this sounds head cheese, yo, that sounds dope as hell, let's get that. You know what I mean? Or Dream, or White Widow, or AK-47, or Trait. I was like, just give me something that sounds badass. And it's through that badass, you will, that I learned that there's some medicinal benefits. And so the more that I learned about it, the more that I advocated, don't drink, y'all. Smoke weed instead. I don't know how many kitchens I would go into. Everybody, yes, smokes, but everybody's always hungover or hammered or angry or whatever have you. I'm like, yo, why don't you just chill out and smoke a fucking joint? I don't know how many people told me, they're like, it's not working. Now, look at the wave of people who aren't drinking anymore, who are smoking. I'm not going to lie to you. I was on the precipice of that. Take a lesson. I don't give a shit. I'm not saying I started it. I'm not saying it's solely my idea. I'm not saying that it's about being right. It's about doing what's right. If cannabis can help you, get it in you.
I have a friend of mine here in Pittsburgh. I've known him for about 25 years. He was a hardcore punk scene dude.
Yeah.
Heavy tats, the whole 9 yards, right?
I don't know anything about that.
He's also an Air Force veteran. And he never fought in a war, but he fought a lot of drug interdiction. He was a crew chief on a helicopter. So he flew and went into very dangerous situations on drug interdiction stuff over the years. But my point is, he used to run some clubs, and he started getting into heroin, and he was on heroin for like 16 years, heavily, right? I told him that cannabis might be able to help him get off of it. He didn't want to go on Suboxone or any of that other shit, because basically you're just addicting you to something else,
right?
That they say is less harmful,
right?
Okay, but he literally, in a period of 9 months, went completely off of opiates with the use of cannabis, just cannabis.
Nice.
He was drinking heavily at first, but he started dropping the amount of alcohol he needed to mitigate his withdrawal symptoms, and got completely off of that. He was using it. He's got a lot of back pain. Yeah, that's how he got addicted in the first place. Pain pills, like a lot of people that we all know who have gotten addicted to opiates. That's how it happens, right? Now, the VA almost did it to me. I've had 2 back operations. I had one in 1998 that was done at the VA Center in Pittsburgh. Let me tell you what they did. Okay, it's a teaching hospital. So instead of doing the operation laparoscopically, which is the common way to do it, they did an open procedure on me where they opened up 8 inches of my back to get at my L4 and L5 vertebrae. That left me laid up for 6 weeks at home after a week in the hospital to recover from the surgery. They gave me literally a huge bottle of 10 milligram Oxycontin. The ones that don't have any acetaminophen, they're just straight up oxycodone quick release tablets, right? They gave me a pile of these things and said, here, every 4 hours. And all it did was put me to sleep, right? I was lucky enough not to get addicted to them, but the VA has this problem. They want to throw a pill at everything.
Yep.
When I got picked up into the VA domiciliary program in '95 after being on the street, they put you, they give you counseling. They try to, I was a basket case after the war. Okay, I was a soldier, and I got sick from being over in the Gulf, and I couldn't be a soldier anymore. But when that is your identity, like how a priest is a priest or a fireman's a fireman, I was a soldier.
It's all you know.
My job, I did it very, very well. Okay, and I had planned on that being a career. Unfortunately, when you go into combat, shit happens. And while all of the internal damage is what caused my inability to do anything because my lungs are shot, basically. You also lose the identity of what the hell am I going to do with the rest of my life?
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is who I was. What am I going to do now? So I floundered through the first half of the 90s. I got out in October of 91.
Okay.
That's when I ATS. I went almost immediately into business school to get a quick degree, get an associate's, get out there and start making money, right? So I have an associate's in business administration. But the whole time I was drinking and using drugs just crazy hard and had no idea why. I didn't understand what was wrong with me.
Can I help a little bit there?
All the time, the VA didn't want to help me. I applied for disability in 92. I didn't get my disability approved until 2010. Okay, wow. That's how long I had to fight to get rated. Okay, and once I got my 30%, I had to jump through a bunch more hoops to get up to 80% and then get individual unemployability because I couldn't work, you know. So after being on that for 7 years, they finally in 2017 made me permanent and total. So now I don't have to worry about them jacking with my you know, percentages anymore because they took me down to the bare minimum. They took me from 80 to 60% because they said I had gotten better. Well, I didn't see any evidence of that. You know, being permanent and total has some advantages. You know, I don't have to worry about losing a job. Mm-hmm. I make enough money now for my disability that I can survive. I don't, you know, but that's really all it is. I'm not living high on the hog. You know, I drive a 10-year-old truck. You know, the whole thing is the VA is a flawed program. Mm-hmm. Okay, they want to throw pills at you and say that that's good. And when they turn you into a zombie that has no feelings, no emotions whatsoever, what they're doing is making you into a sociopath. Okay, because you can't feel empathy if you can't feel sadness or happiness or depression or anything else. And I learned that kind of early on when I came out of the domiciliary program and got back into being out in public again. I started replacing over time all those pills they were giving me by more judicious use of cannabis. Now, I was medicating with it without really consciously understanding that that's what I was doing. It helped my symptoms. I didn't have to be on the pills anymore. Okay, I've gotten a lot more educated about it since then. And in my personal opinion, I don't think there is such a thing as recreational use of marijuana. I think that all use is medicinal for one reason or another, whether it is a physical problem or just to de-stress, like the same way people use alcohol for. But I think that every use of cannabis is medicinal in one way or another, whether or not it's a conscious decision upon that person to say, I'm doing this medicinally. But again, it's an opinion.
Right.
But I really feel that that's been the case, for, at least with people that I've come in contact with. Who are cannabis.
So, you know, one of the biggest issues is one of the most basic psychological things that leads to addiction. That's instant gratification. Now, it's interesting because it's that very same instant gratification that we have psychologically that allows us to heal from cannabis. Case in point here. So you pop a Valium, drink some water, you're like, oh, okay, you know, that you get that tingle after, there's some effects from it. Let's not deny that. That's how Valium works. You smoke a joint, there are some effects. You see what I'm saying? So it's that instant gratification that people chase. That's why I used to drink. So, you know, I find it funny with the 12-step program. I went to Alcoholics Anonymous for about a week. Then I realized that it really wasn't more about healing. It was just talking about drinking, which leads to more drinking.
Yeah, I think what most people crave is connection. So that's why I think sometimes that works very well for some people, is having a community of people that they're connected with, that they're sharing those things with or whatever. Obviously, it's not for everybody. But I think that goes back to a lot of the problems with addiction in the first place, is like losing connection or something. And I think a lot of it goes back to like life purpose, you know, having something that you're really passionate about, looking forward to working on, you know. And so when people lose that, they lose focus on their life. They don't have anything to look for. They're focused on the past, maybe traumas, things like that. And it's something that I think needs to be talked about a lot more.
Hey, Eric, let me expound on that, because you're absolutely right. Having a purpose is absolutely key to things. And let me share a personal story. It's actually how I got into doing this, the cannabis thing that I'm doing. Okay, when I got my disability in 2010 and I didn't have to work anymore, okay, and I got divorced in 2016, moved from Florida back to Pennsylvania, just as we had gotten Amendment 2 passed down in Florida. I was part of the group that got that accomplished.
Beautiful.
Got back up here just as Pennsylvania signed their law into existence. Now, I'm sitting in an apartment 18 hours a day, just watching TV and melting my brain. I had nothing to do, I had no friends, I had no purpose in life. I was paying the bills, I had food in the fridge, but I was basically waiting to die. Okay? My wife, who was actually the mother of my 19-year-old son, got back together, and anyway, she came into the room, and I'm sitting on the couch like I always am, and she says, "I love you, honey, but you need to get out of the house and do something. You need to make some friends. You need to find something to do with your life. You can't just sit here and wait to die." So I really took that to heart. And when that light bulb moment happened in my head, I did a couple of really kind of kooky things. I sold my big screen TV and I bought my first rosin press.
Nice.
Okay. And it was a Nut Smasher Mini. And if you go to my YouTube channel and you look on my earliest videos, you'll see me working with a Nut Smasher Mini. Okay. I started pressing because I wanted to be able to medicate cheaper than what I could buy concentrates for at the dispensary. Okay, when flower first became legal, because at first it wasn't. All you could get were cartridges and concentrates.
Right.
And they were charging mini bar prices for it because there were only 5 GPs working in PA at the time. So I started pressing flower when it becomes available. I start making my own concentrates. And I grew into a lot of eighths. It's a pretty steep learning curve to press rosin. Anybody can press rosin. If you have a hair straightening iron and some parchment paper and a bud, you can squish it and get a little bit of rosin. But to do it consistently, get the kind of yields that I get consistently, takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of time.
So let's say
I started doing this for myself. I'm getting to the point. I started doing this just for myself, and then as I started meeting people in the cannabis community, somebody said to me, "Hey, why don't you do something with that press?" And I thought, okay, how about this? I'll be the machine. I'll go up to Pitt and CMU on Friday nights with my little mini rosin press, and I'll charge those fuckers $20 an eighth to press their shit. That was my grand plan, honest to God. And then I met this guy named Patrick Nightingale, who is one of the foremost cannabis lawyers in Pennsylvania. And I told him that idea. I said, "What do you think of that?" He said, "Why don't you become an educator? Why don't you take a different tack with this? Why don't you become an expert on solventless cannabis extraction and be able to show people that it's a better way to do things and take that on the road and get a good reputation for yourself?" And I took it right to heart, and that's exactly what I did. I went from being the machine to starting Asher's Finest Rosin. And I started making videos and putting content on a YouTube channel. I had 4 subscribers a year and a half ago. I just broke 1,300 last month.
Nice.
It's not a lot, but it's
enough.
that people are finding the information valuable. I'm also not one of those people that does a real slick production thing. I shoot everything with my phone. It's all in one take because you got to be able to rely on the information you're seeing. Look at Nut Smashers videos or any of the big rosin companies. they're only showing you the best of what they're getting.
Oh, yeah.
And they're only showing you, they're cutting and editing and only showing you what they want you to see.
Mm-hmm.
With my videos, the reason people respond to them the way they do is because you get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. If I have a technical problem, if I have a blowout, I don't hide any of that from you. So you can rely on the information that I'm giving you because you're seeing it all unedited, unfiltered. You know, that's how I built my reputation. I've kept a meticulous database of all the dispensary flowers I've ever pressed since 2018. I make that publicly available, even though I've been asked to give it privately to GPs. They've offered me money to do it. I don't do it because this is information patients need to know where to put their money, what strains are going to produce for them.
Mm-hmm.
So everything I've done, none of it has been to enrich myself. I don't make, like I said, I don't make any money. I lose money every year. I press for patients for free. I don't ever charge patients to press dispensary flowers. So the cost of supplies and energy and even my time, it all, you know, is strictly out of my pocket. I cannot wait for federal legalization. I've got people that want to work with me, but they can't do it in the current climate we have in Pennsylvania. So it's frustrating. I'm starting to do some outreach into Michigan. Like I said, I go to Detroit out every month, starting to meet some people and make some connections out that way.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually love, once federal legalization happens, I'd love to be able to work for a grower producing high-end, hand-pressed, you know, small batch rosin that would sell at premium prices. But the difference is I want to take all that money and build those hotels into apartments. That's what I want to do. I don't care about being rich. I've had money. Okay. It doesn't make you happy. It just makes things happen a little bit easier. I want to take what time I have left walking the earth, and I want to create a legacy, a good legacy. Okay. I did a lot of harm. I killed a lot of people during the war. Okay. I ran a rocket launcher and shot a whole lot of very, very large rockets at a lot of people. And now I turned what I was really good at, and I was very good at doing that. And now I help people to heal. I help to educate them about why solventless is a better way to medicate. You know, and how easy it is to do. You know, BHO and stuff like that, that's dangerous. You got to have facilities and stuff like that. Anybody can put a rosin press on their desk. Take the time to learn about the plant and make really good medicine.
Yeah, and if you fuck up rosin, you fuck up butane extract, like you might get really sick. You might get some people really sick, you know. So like you fuck up rosin, you're just most likely not going to get as much, or it's not going to be as flavorful. And I love what you're doing because of education, showing the good, the bad, the ugly. There is a learning curve to doing pressing. You know, I've had my try at it plenty of times, and like the yields, consistency with quality of product, depending on temperature, pressure, and all that stuff. You know, so thank you. We need more of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people doing rosin pressing videos out there. Okay, and I'm not the only one in PA who presses on a high level. There's a guy in Philly grown solventless, makes amazing rosin. I got a buddy out in Central PA that makes some of the best bubble hash you ever tasted. There's some amazing people out there, but because of the climate we find ourselves in, the only way you can really get away with doing the kind of content I do is to be an educator only. That's why I never sell anything. I don't, you know, I everything I do has to be free. Because if I'm charging them for it, then I'm operating an unlicensed processing facility.
Right.
So that's how I stay legal. That's why Department of Health hasn't pulled my card. I've never had a problem with law enforcement, ever. Not anywhere I've been. I am a legit educator, and when I go to these public events, I don't worry about the cops coming in and arresting me. I'm not doing anything illegal as long as I'm not making money off it. So I don't charge. I don't do anything that makes me money right now. But once the feds deschedule, you see how all the states are going to start implementing legal cannabis. I may stay in Pennsylvania, I may not. quite frankly, I think it's ridiculous for us to continue to stay in a state that is surrounded by states that are just about to go full legal. New York's going to happen this year. Maryland might happen this year. New Jersey's already got it, although it's ridiculously flawed, and it's going to need a lot of work. The dominoes are falling. I don't know why Pennsylvania isn't on board with it, other than we didn't remove enough Republicans from the state house this time around.
Right.
You know, again, at the state house, I was calling for heads on pikes. We had a listening tour that the governor initiated. Lieutenant governor went to every single county, 67 counties in this state, and did public inquiries as to what the public wants. Do you want it legal? Do you not want it legal? Only for medical? Whatever. The overwhelming majority, all but 2 counties in this entire state, wanted full adult use legalization. Okay. Well, that means that every Republican at the state house is going against the wishes of the people in their district. They don't seem to care, because the incumbency rate in PA is ridiculous because the way they juryman the districts. Okay, but the fact of the matter is we didn't get enough people out. Enough people didn't vote to remove these people from the state house.
Right.
Now we're stuck for at least another 2 to 4 years before we get any kind of full legalization. Even if they wanted to do it tomorrow, it isn't going to happen for that long. It took them 2 years to get the first dispensary up and running after signing it into law. 2016. We didn't see a dispensary until 2018.
No.
So it's Pennsylvania's a really screwed up state for cannabis, but luckily, Philadelphia, with its proximity to New Jersey, it's going to blow up. Okay. If Ohio or West Virginia goes full legal, Pittsburgh will blow up. Because when you can drive less than 6 hours and access cannabis that's legal and lower priced by far than what we pay in our current state, that's what people are going to do.
100%. And it's one of those things that everybody on the screen in front of you is going to fight for. I mean, that's what we're doing. You want to talk about purpose and drive and tenacity? That's where we're at, y'all. Because real talk, at the end of the day, this plant saves lives and it heals people. But hey, we could go on forever and ever and ever about what we want to do. But unfortunately, we've run out of time today, y'all. I'd like to say thank you so much to Mr. Erik Asher. Dude, thank you so much.
Thank you, Erik.
Him again.
I really appreciate it. Anytime you guys ever make it to Pittsburgh, you got to come out and have a sesh, or maybe the next time I'm out in Michigan, I'll look you up, Chef.
You're ever in Detroit, you know who to call, man. I'll be there in about an hour. All right, guys.
Well, good to meet you, brother.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Nice to meet you too. Pleasure.
Take care, guys.
From Mothers Infusions, Mr. Erik Asher, and myself, Chef Rodney 117 from Deliciously Dope. This has been a 5 Finger Films production. This was the Daily Chronicles, y'all. Peace.